and we will record this session. Lori Linder, president of the Longleaf Pine Realtors Association. You want to welcome everybody to our first online Zoom MLS class?
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for attending. This is a learning curve for me, as I'm sure it is the rest of you, but I guess this is our new normal.
So we'll introduce Megan Gerber, Chairman of Education for the Association. She's going to run this morning. I'm going to take Lori's video and mine out of the way. And Megan, tell me about this. How are we doing this morning? You're going to do 3 different sessions?
Yes. Good morning, everybody. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Megan Gerber. I've been doing the MLS classes for about a year or 2 at the board, and I've been a realtor for about almost 15 years now. I do not know everything about the MLS, so I'm going to tell you that up front, but I'm going to teach you what I know. We're going to do basically 3 sessions. I've tried to make notes and break it down in like kind of 3 equal groups, so you don't get super bored of me, and you don't get overwhelmed. The best thing that I would say is just try to watch. You see my screen, watch, pay attention, and take notes, versus if you have another device in front of you trying to do it at the same time. Because what I've learned in person in class is that when somebody starts trying to do it on the computer, they miss 4 steps. So they get one thing, miss 4, and then they're trying to catch up. So my best advice is to focus on what I'm trying to show you and take notes. That might be little key points for later. And then once you get back and you start working on it and you get confused, you can reach out to me at any point. Am I free to get started, Zan?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Just one more reminder for the folks tuning in. If you're not that familiar with Zoom, if you move your cursor to the bottom of the screen, there's a chat box. I'll be monitoring the chat. If you have questions as we go along, just type them in the chat box. And the way you send that chat is you hit enter on your keyboard after you've typed it in. I'll ask the questions for you. If it's something that I don't understand, or Megan, we may open up your mic on your computer, but at this point, everyone's camera and microphones are muted. So Megan, tag, you're it, girl.
Okay. So what we're going to start with is, again, I'm going to say I don't know everything, but I'm going to teach you everything I know. So what I would also point out, if you know a tip or trick that you've learned, that please message it to Zan, and Zan can share it with the group, if he feels that, it's going to be a benefit. What we're going to start with is your home screen. So when you log in, it's matrix.longleafpines.mls or pines.com. So the MLS link. Once you're on here, I don't know why my screen's so big, but I can't really get it to shrink. So this is going to be your home screen. So you see there's blue boxes at the bottom, and then you have your tabs across the top. One of our sessions later is going to be about going through these tabs up top and answering, doing kind of a Q&A. So we'll address all those one by one in a later session. We're going to touch base a little bit on the home page. You won't spend a lot of time here, but mine obviously will probably look a lot different than yours. But one thing I like to point out is that you can move these little boxes. So some people like it very clean cut in one area and the rest in another area. So you can do that if there's a way that you like your platform better, because some people are they want them all on one side. They want them here or there. That's great. You can do that. You can shrink down. The arrow key makes it kind of clean and cut, so you don't have to see all the stuff in the boxes unless you want to. So you can clean it up like that. So it's very clean and neat and organized. So you can do that, as well. Hot sheet. Yes.
I've got a request. If you'll go into the top right-hand corner of your screen, there is a little star button that says enter full screen.
Mine is full screen.
Yours is full screen. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are watching and your screen is not full screen, those of you that are out there, you can click on your screen and your screen becomes a full screen view. All right, Megan, I won't interrupt again.
You can interrupt anytime. All right, so we're good. Okay. So one of the things is I'm going to point out is the recent search box up at the top right. So up here, you're going to see a little recent search with the drop down. What this is that every time that you implement a search, it's going to automatically save it. And the cool thing about that is we kind of forget about this option is that let's say you go into your MLS and you do this really unique search for your client, and then you hit the back button instead of criteria. A lot of times you're going to lose that search. And you're like, oh man, I just had all the perfect criteria. I don't remember what I put, blah, blah, blah. You could come here to the recent searches tab, click on that, and it's going to immediately take you back to your results of what you just ran. So it's really nice. And you can click back on criteria and it will take you back and you can make any changes if you want to. Okay, so that is a great feature on the home screen. The other item that a lot of people ask about is your hot sheets. So here's your hot sheets. You can also customize those. So if you hit customize, you can pick which kind of fields you're looking for. Maybe you're a commercial agent, maybe you're farm and land, residential. Click whichever one that you're looking for, and then you can edit your criteria. So you can go in and put exactly what you're looking for in that hot sheet. That way you would get the hot sheet updates based on the criteria that you are putting in. So some people really like those hot sheets and use those just for updates, quick and easy. That's one way you could do that. I see lots of chats, Zan, so if you need to interrupt me, please do. You have your quick search box. So that's a great tool. You have some external links down here, but we also have those at the top. So we'll go through those. Again, you can rearrange all these. You can set it up how you want. When you have carts set up, you're going to have those here. If you have clients set up to receive automatic emails, those are going to be here too. So you have a lot of different avenues that you can address on your homepage. Concierge, we're going to talk about in a minute when we're setting up searches for people. So this is our basic home screen functions. So, oh, my watch is talking to me. So these are our basic home screen options. So if there's any questions about just the home screen, shoot them to Zan and we can address them. We do have our quick search tab up here, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. So we'll come back to that one. So we're going to go into the search option. So you'll see up here at the top that you have a search tab. The search tab gives you multiple options. So residential is residential, so your basic home residential sales. Your farm is farm, so it's mostly going to be land or farms. Commercials, commercial, multifamily, lots and land, rentals. We're going to talk about cross property. Then there's the public records. There's a member search, office search, history, and then if you want to search for an open house. The cross property tab I like a lot. With the cross property search, if you click on that, you're going to come into like your regular search screen. In here though, you can search for multiple, I'm pointing like y'all got to use the cursor. Up here, you see that I can search for residential and rental at the same time in one set neighborhood, okay? What is the benefit of that? Well, I think it's awesome because if I have an investor or a buyer even that says, well, if I sell this house in a year, or if I get orders in a year, will I be able to rent the property? Well, I want to look up sales and rental amounts at the same time. This gives me the opportunity to do that versus, going in and looking at sales, then going out, going back in as a rental and looking at what they're renting for and leasing for. This gives us the option right here that I can do both in the same neighborhood. So I could do leased, I could do sold. So I could give them an idea of, hey, in the last 6 months, this is what they've leased for and this is what they've sold for. So if you have to sell in a year, this is kind of what you're looking at. And if you end up having to rent, this is what you're looking at. So that cross property is really, really, really a cool feature if you want to kind of evaluate a neighborhood. A lot of people don't utilize it, I think, because they weren't sure how it worked. So I think it's great. Maybe your person wants a lot of acreage and you don't want to look in farm and land, and you don't want to look in farm and lots and land and residential. So you can come into this tab and click them all and see if something would pop up that works for your client versus coming in and out of each individual property type. So it's really a great feature in there. Commercial is just that, multifamily. Some multifamily does close out in residential. So this would be another good reason for cross property to search in residential and multifamily for maybe some of those duplexes, triplexes that you're working. Public record we'll kind of go through on a different tab a little bit later. So those are kind of your search options. I know as new agents, if there's any new agents on here, question is, can we do rentals? Of course, talk to your broker in charge and all that, but you can definitely search rentals in your MLS. And that is right here underneath that rental tab. It will show you active rentals, leased rentals, the same kind of protocol as what it has for residential sales. What we're going to primarily focus on is residential. So I'm going to click on residential. This is really hard for me because I'm so used to people talking and I see the little chat box. I'm like, what do you have a question on? All right, so in our search screen, you can see that we have a bunch of information here. So we're gonna go through kind of item by item by item. Please, I know you might think like speed it up, but I don't wanna miss anything. And if you have a question, if we get to a certain area, please stop me. But so up here on this left side is your status of your property. So you have your coming soons. So yes, you can search by coming soons. They're not syndicated out into like Zillow and Realtor.com and all that, but we definitely can search them in the MLS if we're looking for a coming soon. We have active, contingency, pending, sold, leased, expired, and withdrawn. When you originally log in, your computer, I believe, is set kind of like that. When you click on the pending or the sold, it automatically goes to 0-180. You are allowed to edit this. So you can click on that and you can delete those numbers. You can change those numbers, 0 to 300. So you can alter the numbers here. I know that in the past teaching the class, people thought it was stuck like that, but you definitely can change that. Now, if I just put in sold 180, I'm only going to get certain, it's not going to show all the way from 0 to 180. So it's a little bit more complicated. You want to make sure that you do your range. Okay. So showing the range is going to give a much better result than just doing the number, because at 180 days back, there were 31 that sold. We don't want that. We want to go 0 through 180. And then you see it changes to 4,307. Big difference. So, when you're doing that, make sure that you're putting a range, not an exact number, because then you're getting just that exact day. All right, so I'm just going to leave a couple marked so when we get down. So here's where your status columns are. As we move to the right, you're going to see MLS. If you have a little hung up question, there's little question marks on some of these, and it says type the name of the item you wish to search, use a comma to separate them. Okay, so you can go in here and type exact MLS numbers separated by commas. Parcel numbers, this does the same thing. If you have a parcel ID number, you can type it in there, see if it populates. You have here a map search. So if I wanted to search within 5 miles of, Cape Fear Hospital, I can put that in there and it's going to populate the address for me. And now I'm within 5 miles of the Cape Fear Hospital. So this is mile range. Okay. So you have that ability, which, it is a nice tool if people say, hey, I want to be in a certain range of whatever. And it goes up to, I think, 25. So that's a cool thing. You have map search, which we're going to go into later because it also has this tab, and I'd like to go into that individually and kind of review that. All right. So did you say something? No. Okay. Over here, you have price. So our price here, if you look, it's automatically checked off these zeros. So I don't have to put 100,000. I just have to put 100, and it's already doing that for me. And again, here you want a range. I either want 100,000 and above, so I'm going to put the plus sign, or I'm going to put it below, do the negative sign, or I'm going to do a range. So 100 to 150. Okay, so you have options that you can do here. Again, if you're confused, hit the question mark and it's going to tell you. You can do negative for fewer, positive for more, a range. If I only enter 100, I'm only getting $100,000 priced houses. There is no range, so make sure that you're familiar with that. Bedrooms. same thing. Do I want 3 bedrooms or do I want 3 plus or 3 minus? Bathrooms, same thing, 3 plus, 3 minus, range, and so forth. So that's, pretty self-explanatory over here. Now we have streets. So, a lot of times maybe you're on floor duty or whatever, and somebody says, I saw this house on Rain Street. So great. And then they're like, well, maybe it was Blue Street. Maybe it was Yellow Street. And you're like, seriously? So you can hit this more button and you can add multiple streets. Okay. So you could just keep adding streets. And they said Rain. Well, based on our conversation, I don't think they really know what street they were on. So if they said Rain, it might be Blue Rain or whatever, rainwater. So when you're searching by street name, the best thing I would recommend is using the asterisks. The asterisks, so if I do Rain asterisk, it's going to populate any street name that has an asterisk, so anything before the word rain, and then anything with rain and another word after it. So if I just do an asterisk on the left side, it means it's any word that ends in rain.
I'm unable to process your request.
My watch keeps talking. If I put the asterisk on the end side, then it means it's only words that start with rain. So I would usually do the asterisk on both sides. Why is that important? Because if they're really not 100% sure of that street name, or maybe you're not sure how to spell it completely, or is it like the best part, I'll give an example, is Bragg Boulevard. So I would put Bragg here and put the asterisks, because sometimes people do list as Bragg Boulevard, sometimes they don't, sometimes, it's just different the way they word it. So if you put the asterisks on both sides, it's going to populate those addresses. Okay, so this is a great tool to use when looking for a specific address. Over here on the left, we have our type of home. So we have, if they're looking specifically for a condo, mobile home, single family residence, if they don't want that, maybe they do not want a condo, you could hit not. I do not want a condo, so do not include that. Okay, so you do have that option. You have in the center here, you have county, so you can do multiple counties. I always get, why can't we do multiple searches? And you can. This little white space right here gives you the opportunity to put another one. So I can continue to add counties, okay? Same with cities, same with subdivisions. I can add a subdivision and maybe they want the neighborhood across the street, so Saddle Ridge. So I'm gonna do multiple here. Zip codes you would do with a comma in between. So you could do multiple zip codes. You also have garage, yes or no, garage spaces. I will say, personal opinion is that I would start, and my search is very detailed, right? So I would put in everything my client wants. If I don't get those results, I need to back off a little bit. And the reason being, this is what I'm going to preach to the choir, y'all need to put as much info as possible into your MLS info sheets. Because if you do not mark off garage and I'm searching garage, I'm not going to see your property. So, every detail you can put into your MLS listings, please do. But if an agent maybe forgot to put garage and I'm searching yes for garage and they don't have it marked off, then it's not going to populate. So keep that in mind if you're doing a search and you can't find exactly what you're looking for. Come in and back off some of those details and then maybe scrub those listings individually yourself. Over here, remember we had the bedrooms, bathrooms. Here's HOA, year built. If you want a range of year built, you might use that for more CMAs maybe. Here's your lot size, acreage, your square footage ranges. So it populates a bunch of ranges and you can, yes, mark off as many as you want. You can mark multiple, and then just hit OK. And now they've applied all of those to your square footage range. And then if you want to search closed square foot range. Now over here, we have, do we want new construction? Do we want a certain style? Certain conditions. So maybe your person only wants foreclosures. So I'm going to mark all of these off except standard. I mark them all off and leave it as or. If my client says, I do not want to deal with the foreclosure at all, we're going to click all these off and put not. I do not want a foreclosure. Okay. So you do have that option. When people say, oh, my client can't afford it, they don't want a foreclosure, how do I remove it? That's how you do it. Then you have your carport spaces. We've got detached garage, so more features. Of course, elementary schools. So you can search multiple. You'll see the box pops up. Perfect. So you can put a couple if you're looking for a couple. Again, if your client, and I always throw extra stuff in there and try not to, but if your client asks for a specific school district, you are allowed to do that. So this is where if they say, I want Southview or Jack Britt or Grace Creek, you can go in and put multiple school districts at one time. You do have interior features. Now, I'm just going to be real and say, I don't think I'd be clicking off 220 volts because I don't know how many people are actually marking that off on their cut sheets or their input sheets. So, I mean, that's where I'm talking about discretion as the, features you're putting in. And then we have our master bedroom down, any bedroom down, so forth. One cool thing, if you're going to take any notes, please take this note. In the remarks, this is a great tool. Here's where we use the asterisks again. So if I am searching for something and I'm not finding it entering in my data, so maybe I want to see if that agent talked about it in their remarks. So I, might put an asterisk, and you see I have examples here, and put handyman. And when I do that, I'm going to remove that, try and see if I get more results. You put handyman, that might populate. There is nowhere to check off in a box on our cut sheet handyman, but they might have wrote handyman special. So I can search by handyman, but you need the asterisks on either end. Maybe I want master and I want down. So maybe they didn't mark off master bedroom down in the input sheet, but in their remarks one, it says master bedroom down, and you could populate and find it from that. So this remarks tool is really great. Same with pools. If you do pool, it's going to populate any properties with the pool. So very cool there. Now, I am going to point out that on your screen, I had to change mine a little bit. I'm trying to, let me erase some of these. So we go into our next screen, we'll have some more results. All right. So at the bottom, if your screen is plain and it stops right here, then you've not added any additional fields. What do I mean by that? So down here, you see additional fields, and you're going to hit add. Boom, there's all these extra categories, okay? So what do I mean? Well, let's say I wanted to look for some interior features. I'm going to click on that interior features, and I'm going to hit add. Oh, that's already on there. Good example, Megan. See, it says it's already on the search page. Okay, let me try a different one. How about exterior? Exterior features and add. Cool. Okay, it's on my box. So here, I've moved it as part of my home screen. What about exterior amenities? Okay, and add. So I'm adding all these things, right? So you see them in my box here. I'm going to hit back. Now, when I go to the bottom, same place we were, I've now added these extra fields. So here's where I'm looking for a deck, fenced yard, gutters, hot tubs, patios, porches, all these extra features that my client might be looking for. Down here, is there a clubhouse? Are they on a cul-de-sac, golf course community, office, pool, indoor pool, all these extra features you might be searching for. Again, I would add all these fields. If you don't know them, go and add them all, okay? Add them all and go through them. Then if you want to remove the ones that are of no use, okay, you just click on it and hit remove. And when I go back, there it is. It's removed, okay? Now this box down here is going to stay forever until I remove it, okay? But once it's added, it's always here. So if you're not sure which box holds what features, add them all. Spend 15 minutes going through them all, see which boxes you most frequently use, then go back and delete the ones that you don't. And again, when you do your search, select all these items, but if you're getting one or two results, you might want to go backwards and kind of let up on some of those very detail-oriented features on there. Do we have any questions so far? I see the chat pop up, so it's like, do we have any questions so far on some of the search features?
Buddy Blackman wanted to know, was there a waterfront field? And then he said, oops, yep, there it is. I'm just sitting here mesmerized because I didn't know all this stuff, and I've taken several notes on how to build my searches better. So thanks, Megan.
You're welcome. I hope
Anybody got
everybody learned
questions?
something.
Type them in the chat box, hit enter. If you got a question, now would be a good time.
Yes, please ask questions. Usually in class, I'm trying to tell people to ask me stuff. Ask me, ask me.
All right. If they pop up, I'll come back on and let you know.
Okay. Okay. All right. So moving on. So here's our features. Cool. Okay. So I told you that we were going to talk about our map feature. So when you slide on over here, oh, I'm sorry. All right. So here's this little toolbar. You see that little tool wheel thing? If you constantly do the same search, you can set this as your default. So you know how you first logged in and it always shows 0 to 180 and pending and 0 to 180 and sold, and maybe that's not what you want it to be. So you set it up what you normally work. You can set this as your main default. So when you come in, this is going to be what you've selected every single time. Can you go and edit it once you've saved it? Yes. So you could go and change it. So if you say, I'm always in Rayford, I'm gonna make this my primary search and have it as Rayford, but you know what, today I have a Fayetteville buyer, you just come in and delete the Fayetteville option or the Rayford option and put in Fayetteville. So you can still, you know, edit that. All right, so here's this map feature that I was talking to you about. So you're gonna put in all of your search criteria. Let me start by saying that very clearly. Put everything in again about what your client is looking for in a home, if you're not specific to school districts. All right, so let me just say that. School districts might narrow down the map, but let's say they just say, I don't care where I live, I want a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, whatever. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna go into the map, I'm gonna click on this map feature. And they might say, I want to be 15 minutes from my job. Not miles, because remember, miles was right here, okay, where we had this miles option. We're going to go into the map, and you see this little, where is our drive time? Well, Zan, do you know what happened to our drive time?
I'm the last person you should ask about drive time.
We used to have a drive time app.
Let's see.
Okay.
Debbie McFadden's online with us. Debbie, can you send us a chat, or would you like me to open up your mic? I'm going to open your mic, Debbie.
Yeah, I'm here. I really don't know what happened. Let me check with our customer service rep and see what's going on with it.
Okay. Well,
Thanks.
I'll touch base with y'all on this real quick. So before we had a drive time app here. So if it comes back, I'll just talk about it for 20 seconds. You could click on that drive time app and put the amount of time, 15 minutes from, and then a location. So it's 15 minutes from a set place. You're going to go, so we're just going to skip over that. So let's say that they want to be within a certain radius of a location, okay? So you can zoom in and you can do shapes. So if I want to draw, you know, from here, they want to be 3 miles from this location, I can just drop the pin, drag it out, and do my circle, okay? So it's going to include the homes in that shape. And you can go a mile distance. So the drive time works too, or you could do a shape. You can drop it down, you do your points. And if you want to be within this type of location, all the homes that pop up in that box, then you would just hit results and you would see that from there. Another good thing about the map features on here is that you could use this for CMAs. So the CMAs that I like to use is when I do my search criteria. So I put in, you know, closed, the features of the home. I can jump right to the property address that I am working on. And once I do that, you put the full address. So I'm saying you have to put the road and the city and the state. Okay. So once you do that, you're going to see right here that it will take you right to that address. With the search criteria I have, it didn't populate anything, but you would be able to see active, closed, or pending around that area. So it's just a cool little tool. If like you're pulling comps and you can't find anything, you could drop a pin right there and you'd be able to see active, closed, and pending right around that property that you're trying to do research on. Even if you're looking to purchase one, you can put in an address and see what's closed. So if I go to my criteria and let's say that I want to take off a lot of this stuff. So maybe it will open it up just to show y'all. I really wish the drive time thing was on there, but hey, next time. It gives you a reason to come back to the next class.
Can I comment while you're searching
Yes.
and clearing?
Yes.
For those of you who don't know, I went to Debbie McFadden, who is our MLS director. She has been running MLSs for a lifetime. So we all defer to Debbie when there's a question. If you ever have a question about how it works or where something is, call the office, the Board of Realtors office, because we have experts on standby. So that's my plug for Debbie and her staff.
Yeah, she's amazing. So yeah, she's amazing. I'm trying to send out, agents are saying they didn't have the link for this. So, all right. So when you put in the address, this is, I took off all the search criteria. You can see, so I pinned, you know, my address for the property that I'm working. And once you're in here, I can see what's active pending right around my neighborhood. So it's a quick kind of easy way to kind of jump in and kind of look at the activity in the area. So you can do the standard way, of course. I'm not, you know, saying that you can't, but for me, I'm a visual person. So it's a lot easier sometimes when I log in and drop a pin and then I can see what's going on around me. Sorry. All right. So that's a cool feature in the map feature. A lot of people do like that. There's also the layers tab. So the layers, you can add, you know, neighborhood lines, elementary school lines, middle school lines. There's parcel traits. So, I mean, there's a lot of different things that you can look at on these little boundaries that you can put on. So some people will do, like if they're unsure about school districts, they might put a layer on to look at that. So it's a cool feature that you have available on here as well for your map feature. All right, so we're gonna go back into our criteria and I'm just gonna limit, right now you'll see that our results has 5,000 plus, okay, down here on the left. We really don't want 5,000 results because it's not gonna really let us do what we wanna do. So I did Acorn Ridge and I'm gonna limit, no particular reason why I picked this neighborhood, there's just always inventory to use for a good example. All right, so I went in and did my search criteria. You'll see in your search criteria that I put everything that I wanted, right? So this client wants only Acorn Ridge. I want to look at active, closed, pending, whatever it is. You put in exactly what your client wants. So I'm going to click on results. Once I get to results, you'll see this screen here. I'm going to show you a few features about this screen. You do have the opportunity to rearrange this any way you want. So if you want the address over here and you don't want, you can move boxes. I don't know why that one's not cooperating. So you can move address over here. Say you want to delete this column. Okay, there's a blank column. Why is it there? We don't know, but we want to get rid of it. You're going to left click, but let me back up. When you're up here in the gray, do you see how my little thing is a 4 arrow kind of cursor? It needs to be the little 4 arrow cursor in the gray box at the top. Then you're going to left click and you're going to see remove column or insert column. So you're going to hit remove column and boom, I've removed that column. I'm going to remove this one just so I can show you how to add it. So now, one thing that I always tell people, like, you might want to add features of the house on here, or when you're doing your CMAs and you're like, well, let's look at closed square footage. You can't see that when the way yours is originally set up, right? You see square foot range, but you cannot see closed square footage. So again, you're going to come up to the top where you have the 4 arrows. You're going to left click and insert column. When you insert column, here are all the features that you can add to your search screen. But I'm going to do square foot, and so I'm going to do closed square footage. When I click on that, I'm going to hit apply, And now I have a column for closed square footage. So as I scroll down, you can see my closed square foot. Okay. You can, when you click on the item at the top and it turns into the little hand, it will rearrange them. See, so now it went from sold, pending, active. I click it on it again, it's going to go from active, pending, closed. If you want to sort by price, you click on price. Now it's lowest to highest. You could click on it again and it's highest to lowest. Did I say it right last time? Lowest to highest, highest to lowest. Okay. So you do have the ability to rearrange things within each column. It's a really great feature. Now, if you want to save that type of setup, again, you can save it here, okay? So you can manage display and save this display, and maybe you name it, like mine is CMA training. So you can rename different ways that you save the page. So all these are ways that I've saved it that I want to search for an active buyer, with all rooms displayed, my active, closed, pending display. So you can rename a search that you perform, and that way you can go back and find it easily, okay? So,
Megan, excuse me.
yes.
Would you repeat how did you find, or how did you find the square feet of the house? How did you put that column in?
Okay, so when you're up here at the top, you're on this gray bar. So you see where it has all the headers on it. When you're on this gray bar, you're going to see that this little cursor becomes a 4-arrow cursor. Once it's become the 4-arrowed cursor, you're going to left click. And once you've left clicked, you're going to see insert column. Click insert column, and then you can choose the category that you want to add. So I just typed in SQ for square foot, and I picked the closed square foot option, and then hit apply, and it will apply. Everybody tracking good on that? Okay. Yay, thumbs up, something. Okay, cool. All right, so now we did this awesome search for our client, right? So we want to save that search, right? Because I want the system automatically to go through and every night do my work for me. What does that mean? So I personally don't have the time for every client to go through and do this search every single night and then try to remember, what did I send them before? What did I not send them? You know, instead, the computer could basically scrub for me. Okay. Zan, should I take a break?
I think we're doing pretty good. It's 10:08. We'll run another 10 minutes or so, and then we'll take a break.
Okay. All right. Just making sure.
Whenever you
whenever
you get to a good stopping point.
Okay. We'll stop after we do the auto email. All right. So, so I don't want it to, you know, I want the system to help me out with this. So number one, I'm constantly getting items to my client. Number two, I'm not resending the same things. Okay. So how do I do that? Well, I put in my search criteria. I hit results. Down here at the bottom, see the cursor moving. I'm going to hit the save button. I click on save. All right, cool. So once I click on save, you're going to see new auto email. Well, I'll do two things. New save search. I can save this search and name it, so I can always come back and pull up the search. I can do new speed bar shortcut. What is that? Remember up here, I told you we talked about this bar. I can name this Mary Jo, okay? New speed bar shortcut, Mary Jo. And then every time that I want to come into the MLS and just search for Mary Jo, I could come up here and type in the name I named it, Mary Jo, and it's automatically going to pull the info. And I'll show you that in a minute. But here's our new auto email. I'm going to click on, I want to save a new auto email. So remember, we did our search criteria. We hit results. We came in. Now we're going to go to the save option down here at the bottom. And then we're going to hit new auto email. You have to create a contact. So I'm going to create contact. They need obviously an email. Nobody uses email. It's just a junk email. And hit save. I see I've already used it. All right, let's try this one. All right. Then I'm going to do my subject. My subject is exactly what my client's going to see when it goes into their email box. Your perfect, whatever you want to call it, home search for Rayford. Okay, cool. That's what they're going to see every time. Now, down here, you're going to see, of course, when you create the contact, make sure it's capitalized and you know, do everything grammatically correct. Capitalize Rayford. You know. All right, so here's the automatic email that comes with how it's set up. This is you, I'm sending you information, blah, blah, blah. Right here is your recurring email. This is what they're gonna get every time after the first time, okay? So you're gonna see what they get the first time, and then this is what they're gonna get. You can edit this. If I wanna change this to, you know, hey, great news, another listing for you to view. Check it out. All right, so you can change that however you want, okay? So this is templates and you can change it. And again, down here, you can save it, you can clear it, or you can save it as what I just did. So if I go in and change all of this, I don't want to do that every time. So I can just set it as my default. I can edit my signature. Okay, so here's the criteria I saved, right? Now, if you've been zoning out on me, here's a time to come back in. So when I'm setting this up for my client, here are two options that I have. So I have options where, number one, it's called concierge right here. It's a service, basically. And what will happen is that Matrix will pick the properties like we want it to, but it's going to come to me first. And I go through and accept or deny the houses I want to go to my client. Well, why would I do that? Well, I'll give you an example. Maybe we did, okay, maybe we're in Fayetteville and we say 100 to 140,000. And I marked no condo, right? But let's say some people put their condos in the MLS as a single family residence or something. So when it comes to me, I can scroll through and I see there's a condo, I'm going to hit decline. That way my client knows I'm actually looking at these and I'm listening to them. Because, you know, some people say, why are those coming to me? It doesn't match my search criteria. Either we didn't narrow it down enough or, you know, it's just pulling everything. Maybe like in Rayford, you know, there's manufactured homes, there's mobile homes, and sometimes they're listed as single family, and your client might say, I don't want any of those. All right. So concierge means it goes to you first, and you'll accept or deny each one, and then you'll send it out. Okay. Schedule means that we're not doing concierge, that we have three options here. ASAP, which I do not recommend because ASAP means they will get an email every single time, like literally every time something changes in the MLS. The only time I would use, I personally, this is just Megan's opinion, that I would use ASAP are investors, just because when things pop on, they go off so fast. Or if I set up my client for a neighborhood that they want to be in and there's no inventory. Like, let's just say they want to be in Valley End, okay, and there's zero inventory. I would save, and that was my search criteria, Valley End. I would put ASAP, so as soon as something goes on the market in there, they're getting an email. It's not going to happen that night or next morning. Then we have daily. So daily means, am I going to send it in the mornings, in the afternoons, in the morning, afternoon? I can rotate. When do I want to do it? Okay, so you can set that up any way that you want. Or we have monthly. So monthly, you know, why would you use monthly? Well, maybe you have somebody deployed and they're not coming back for 9 months and they don't want to buy until they come back. So you want to get them something not overwhelmingly every night, but maybe monthly. So you can do that as well. And then you would hit save. So before I hit save and move on, do we have any questions about what a new auto email is or how to do it?
A couple of comments. Buddy Blackman said you could search for houses that don't have red doors, or Michael Frederickson said the USDA eligible area. You could search in the concierge area for that. Megan, let me stop while we're taking a break. Anybody that's got a question, pop it in the chat box. Remember, you just type on the chat and then hit enter. I love the way you teach because you make it so real. I mean, I don't know what that little wheelie tool thing is either. I'm sure it's got a real name, but I call it the wheelie tool thing. And you just make this so easy and real. Thank you for doing this.
Yeah.
Any questions? Are we about ready for a break, Megan?
Yeah, we are ready for break. I guess I have a question though. What did he mean that the red door thing? I don't think I understood.
When you're doing your criteria for
Oh,
a
yes. Okay.
particular
Yes.
client.
Right. Okay. So if they say they didn't want a red door and it came through, you could delete it. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Buddy says, once you create an auto email, how can you edit it in the concierge?
Buddy, that's such a good question. Okay. So I love that. All right. So we have a client and we set them up on auto email. And of course, the next day they change their mind and they want to do something different, right? So how do we edit that? Up at the very top, you'll see our tabs that we said we'd go through later. Up here, you see My Matrix. You're going to click on Auto Emails. So these are the auto emails. These are the ones that are automatically going out. We're going to click on them. We are going to click on that property and click on the box, and then you're going to see criteria. And we can come in here and go right back and change all their criteria.
Awesome. It's the questions that make the learning fun. Anybody else got questions?
Everybody's thinking the same thing.
That's right. And I love the chat because they're asking questions and answering their own questions, or somebody else is answering the questions as you go along. So,
that's me in my own brain half the time.
I love it.
Okay.
And somebody, Riley, wants to know, do you get alerted if somebody unsubscribes from the auto email?
Yes, you do. It will tell you that they have removed themselves from receiving them, and you'll also get a notification if they've never logged in. It will say, due to inactivity, they are being removed.
So if you set somebody up and they never play, you'll know.
But I'll show you how to check that later too.
All right. So you ready for a break?
Yes, we will take a break. So when
you want to come back at 10:30?
10:30 sounds good. Are we just staying on here and then
we're going to stay live.
Okay.
We've got everybody's microphones and your camera, and I just muted my own. We've got everybody's microphones muted, and we'll come back at 10:30 and run another 45 minutes.
Yep, that should be good.
I love it. One last question. Where were you?
Sorry, time's up. No, just kidding.
Debbie says, where were you when you were looking for drive time? Oh, this is Debbie McFadden.
I was in the search in the map.
All right. So under
it
search
used to be
in the map.
right here. Right in this location, there was a little drive time option.
Well, if anybody can find it, Debbie can. And one more thing, Casey says, the best thing for me as a new agent was creating one for myself and going through the motions of everything that could happen. It was super helpful to get to know. In other words, setting herself up.
Good idea, Casey.
That's a great idea.
Yes, that's the best way to learn anything is run through it yourself, make you or a friend or somebody the example and practice it. Hey,
we may have to have a prize for the best question of the day, and I think Casey may have it at this point. So I'm going to come back. We're going to be back at 10:30, which is about a 12-minute break. And I'm going to ask two questions as we come back. One, would y'all be interested in us teaching the practical applications on Zoom? And the second, Michael Fredrickson has been hosting a brokers meeting. His next one is scheduled on Monday, the 6th of April. And Michael, I'm wondering if you would like to open that meeting up to any broker who would like to discuss our market that we're going on. We're going to take a 12-minute break and we'll all be back. I'm Zan Monroe, and this is Megan Gerber. Megan, you're awesome.
Thank you. See you in 10 minutes.
See you in 10.